Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Tuesday night. Tonight, we got ourselves prepared for the Challenger Racing League's first playoff race of the season. The first playoff race of the Challenger Racing League. The drivers get to test their skills back at Mile and a Half Track of Kansas, and the Mile and a Half Tracks have been fun to watch so far, but tonight going to be one of the first times we truly get this sense of who's going to be the true master of the Mile and a Half. The last time we were at a Mile and a Half, it was that Atlanta Super Speedway configuration. Here tonight, we get to see who's going to be the top driver to watch out for this evening. Points all equal. 12 drivers have made it into the playoffs, and now it's going to be down to who can find themselves in the right foot moving forward, as each playoff round is going to be 3 races. It's going to be a fun one, and it all starts here at Kansas, like we said, as we're giving you the coverage on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is Trevor Earhart. Trevor, we're underway with qualifying. We just are about to cross over to halfway through qualifying with currently Hunter Carlson top of the board, but man, playoffs are here, and it's time to see who is going to be the driver to try and take this inaugural championship for the Challenger Racing League.
Yeah, time to amp up that aggression and the pressures on these drivers, Sam, to get these the best finishes they can to see who's going to be crowned that initial champion. It all starts here tonight with qualifying. Mile and a Half tracks going to be hard to pass. It can be hard to pass sometimes, Sam, and so this qualifying session is going to be important to see who can build that momentum to get to that first championship.
It's going to be extremely important. I think being up front is going to be the key factor to watch out for, but there are some drivers that honestly we know can be big threats to watch out for. There's also been some big surprises after last week's race at Bristol. We got to see some drivers sneak their way into the playoffs, others get bounced out. Gregory Barbanier, probably the biggest shock, being the driver that makes it into the playoffs, but we have other drivers that are just looking to maybe have one of their best runs of the season and still a chance for victory for the first time this season. One of those being Justin Malarkey, hoping to top the board, as their first lap was 13th fastest, not able to really find a pickup on that second lap, only able to move up to 12th position. As other drivers are out there qualifying, it's Steven Rocek in the 21 who's on their final lap to see how quick they can go, as hard to see with the sun glaring on that 21, but you can see here's Rocek for their final qualifying lap, as I have 1 minute and 19 seconds left so far here in qualifying.
Exit turn number 4, going to run it down here to the line and see where he can put that 21 machine, if he can move up a little bit on this timing board. And 14th fastest for Steven there, Sam. So gets his first time in, and we'll see if he can go any faster here on lap number 2, trying to get those tires warm.
Currently the top 3 drivers all on top of one another on time, being being Kevin Z, as that's going to be seeing Zabladil doing his fastest lap is a 31.078. Then a little bit under 500ths of a second is Hunter Carlson, and then directly at 500ths of a second we find James Catrone. Those top 3 drivers going to be quick. I know also Christian Strouder, who's going to be in 4th position, expecting some quick speed. We got some returning drivers that we have not seen really. I mean, Rocek, one of those drivers that are returning, and then we also have Fitzmarcus, who's going to be a driver to watch out for in the 88, deciding not to qualify. Same for Michael Martino. So we got 14 drivers deciding to put down a time as qualifying finishes up. Tonight's race, 133 laps, stage at the end of lap 45. 1 fast repair, 3 extra sets of tires, but as always, the fun factor of fuel. Trevor, 50% fuel load is going to be the fuel for these drivers here tonight, and with only 45 laps in the stage, pit stop's going to be here just in these first couple of laps.
That's going to be interesting to see how they play that fuel mileage. Should be able to go about 30-ish laps, I believe, if memory serves me right, on 50% fuel. So we're going to see how these guys are going to play it out, Sam. We've seen fuel strategy, tire strategy come into play a couple of times this season. We'll see if that's going to be the case here again tonight at Kansas.
Do you decide to go for stage bonus points? Because all 12 drivers that made it to the playoffs, that being Gregory Barbanier, Hunter Carlson, James Catrone, Roland Collette, Matt Hayden, Andrew Little, Justin Malarkey, Rusty Modesty, Steve Potter, Christian Strouder, John Velocity, and Kevin Z all started 0 points entering tonight, so stage bonus points could be critical to make sure that you're moving on to the next round. But let's first take a look at our starting grid here tonight. It's going to be Kevin Zabladil in the 17, top of the board for that machine. On his outside, it's going to be Hunter Carlson with James Catrone 3rd. Christian Strouder going to be in 4th with Roland Collette 5th. 6th, we find Brandon Bouchamp with Andrew Little 7th, Gregory Barbier in 8th, Matt Hayden 9th, and Jesse Nowlin going to be finishing out our top 10.
Tom Velasquez will roll off in 11th with Justin Malarkey in 12th. Steve Potter will roll off in 13th with Stephen Wachek in 14th. James Fitzmaurice will start in 15th with Michael Martino down in 16th.
Those are going to be your 16 drivers here this evening. And one driver you might be noticing that isn't here, Rusty Modesty, currently dealing with travel issues. He will be missing this race, and with one of the drivers that we expected to be almost an absolute pass going into the next round, this gives a huge opportunity for some drivers that might be a Cinderella story to move on to a round of 8. Again, this first round going to be 3 races. You have tonight at Kansas, next week at Talladega, and then finishing off at the Roval. So we got ourselves a mile-and-a-half super speedway and a road course this first round. Honestly, probably one of the more difficult of the 3 rounds that these drivers are dealing with, but it all starts here at Kansas.
A really interesting first round of the playoffs. You go mile-and-a-half racing, you go super speedway, road course racing, so it really tests you as a driver on kind of which discipline you're best at. And Sam, I'm excited to see what kind of racing we're going to get for this first round.
I'm excited for it as well. Again, 16 drivers taking the green. Stage break at the end of lap 45, and again, some of the drivers that made it into this round, even seeing that of Gregory Barbier, the absolute incredible run that he had of just staying on the lead lap as long as he did. Saw other drivers get caught up with pit strategies go wrong last week at Bristol. Really helped the 40 machine make it to the playoffs. I'm curious if they'll be the Cinderella story. Could it be also seeing Steve Potter, who struggled quite a bit last week, but did just enough to make it into the playoffs? Curious on those 2 drivers, looking like probably the weakest link coming into the playoffs, on what they're going to be bringing in to this first round. But it all starts here as the drivers enter into turn 3. We get prepared to get racing here for the Challenger Racing League. Our first race of the playoffs, first race of the round of 12. Thank you to everyone that's been with us throughout this season. It was a 7-race regular season, quick one, and a quick turnaround, as now we have 7 races to crown a champion. As pace cars into pit road, we enter the restart zone, and we are green here tonight, as it's going to be Kevin Zabladil, Hunter Carlson taking us to the green as they roar down into turn number 1.
A really good jump there from the 17 of Zabladil as they head into turn number 1. Catrone trying to push that 17 machine through the middle of the 1 and 2. Now we're going to look to the outside. Goes James Catrone trying to get a little bit of a run, but a little bit of a wiggle there from the 38. He holds on to it, Sam, but looks like he might lose a little bit of momentum halfway down the backstretch.
And some of these drivers having some different schemes than what we've traditionally have seen for themselves. Hunter Carlson going to be in that cotton candy pink and blue on the outside, and going to be trying to show off with some new colors and hoping to find some new speed if possible. But it's Kevin Zabladil takes the pole, leads lap number 1, and clean air going to be a key factor here tonight, but also side-by-side racing, as already seen that second place battle. Catrone just does not look confident or comfortable off the exit turn 2.
And cold tires around this racetrack. Car gets really loose on you. Corner exit, and the top line is kind of where you want to be to get some passes done, as you can really pinch the driver on the inside and not allow him to get back to the throttle and get those huge runs like we've seen the 32 there of Hunter Carlson do, as he gets now to the outside of the 17 of Kevin Z. Sam, as they head down into turn number 1.
As the drivers get ready to see who can potentially take this lead position. Wicked speeds we're seeing so far, but it's going to be seeing Hunter Carlson evading all the chaos and now going to be taking that lead position, the 32 that we saw win multiple times in the beginning of this season, hoping to grab another win if possible, be the 3rd for the Swedish driver so far. But it first starts here, lap number 1 led for the 32 on lap number 3.
Leads that lap, see if he can hang on to the lead for more than a lap, as it kind of seems to have been the early trend, as he's going to continue to run that high line. Though, Sam, it looks like a lot of people migrated now down to that bottom line apart from Carlson, and I believe the 29 machine of Christian Stratter are the only 2 in the top 5 or 6 that are really running that top line.
Yeah, other drivers that are attempting it, it's going to be Gregory Barbier in the 40 machine, currently runs in 8th place, but We know that that outside lane, there is a lot of speed up there, but the tire wear, how much are you willing to risk? And right now, Hunter Carlson puts down another fastest lap. The 32, giving no care to those tires. It's all about getting up front, build a lead, and honestly, it's one of those strategy calls that if you're seeing someone going this fast and aggressive up front, I got a feeling they're taking tires when we go into pit road later on in this stint.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be what happens, especially with how hard they're driving it. And, you know, we kind of saw this last week at Bristol where, you know, drivers got out into the lead, kind of drove away, and then the rest of the pack over the course of the run chased them back down. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with Carlson running the high line and Kevin and James Catrone running that bottom line, how those speeds are going to come together for the end of this run.
Oh, trouble behind, though. It's Steve Potter going around as he gets spun for the 64. And our first caution of the day happens on lap number 6.
Like a little solo spin maybe there, Sam, down the backstretch. We might have had some help.
Like you got a little bit of help squeezing into the 28 of Jesse Nowlin as they were closing in on one another off the exit of the corner. You can see here 28 on the outside. I don't know if the 64 knew he was there. It's kind of a bizarre incident that it just looked like two drivers looking for the same real estate. To see it here on the replay, just exit the corner. Away the 64 goes.
Got a little bit tight there, Sam. Drifted up into the 28 machine, and for Potter goes around. Thankfully for these drivers, they do have that fast repair, but again, hate to have to use that fast repair on lap 7 of this race, but it doesn't look like any significant damage for Steven, Sam, so maybe just come down pit road and get that thing beat out with a hammer.
Yeah, and the driver I was most concerned about was Jesse Nowlin. We've seen recently on iRacing with the new damage bottles that have been implemented the last couple of seasons, the last couple of months, it's been the driver that gets squeezed in the outside wall that really takes the brunt of the damage after taking that side damage to the outside wall, as well as the driver being pinched. Luckily for Jesse Nowlin, doesn't look like it's required damage, but it does give an opportunity for a lot of drivers to take a chance to enter pit road, and leading is going to be James Catrone and Christian Schroeder into pit road. I'm shocked to see that those were the drivers that went into pit road because it looked like they're being pretty conservative on their tires, and instead they hit pit road, and no surprise, they just top off with fuel.
Yeah, just fuel only, trying to make sure they can make it to the end of the stage. I think we saw it, I believe it was last week at Bristol, where Rusty Modesty, Sam, pitted early to make sure he made it on fuel when a couple of laps down, and a couple of drivers made it to the stage break, but ran out of fuel. So drivers trying to make sure now that we're in the playoffs that they have plenty of fuel to get to that stage break and get back around to pit road.
Adding all the fuel that you can. Also checking on other drivers at an extended stay. It's going to be Michael Martino as well as Jesse Nowlin staying for extra time. Steve Potter, I think, kind of lucked out. There was not a lot of damage. The 64 had to worry about on damage side, just topped off on fuel and took off. And the 5 drivers that decided not to pit: Hunter Carlson, Kevin Zabladil, Matt Hayden, Steven Rodchek, and Justin Malarkey. And of all drivers that pitted, no one took tires. I love the fact that I didn't see anyone take tires. One thing I was nervous about was being this early into this race and using one of the 3 sets that you have in pit road.
Yeah, I think that would have been a kind of a disastrous call to do. Thinking back to, I believe, Darlington, we saw some drivers take tires early and it came back to bite them later on in the race. So fuel only, top it off. Don't lose a lot of track position here, Sam. So don't hate the call, but definitely with you. Glad I didn't see anybody taking tires.
And I'm curious if we could take a look at the weather here early. One of the big factors drivers were talking about and the admins put in, wind speed. They are sticking with a static 10 miles per hour that is going to be going into turn number 1 that these drivers are dealing with. So a little bit of extra speed into turn 1. We'll see how that's going to be hurting themselves. But seeing the track temp at 98 Fahrenheit, the air temperature pretty static as well. And that's going to be the big thing. This race is static. There is going to be no change. It is as stable as it is at this current moment, is the way it's going to be all throughout this race. Curious on how the wind, as the drivers feel like that's going to be the big thing that's going to be the factor throughout this race.
It's going to give them a little bit of a push down into turn number 1 and going to kind of slow them down exit at turn number 4. So how you carry that momentum on each side of the racetrack, it's going to be key, Sam, as we get ready to get this race restarted.
Hunter Carlson, Kevin Zabladil going to be your front drivers. On the inside, they try to take off, but you see all those wiggles. The old tires not feeling happy as they take off and go, but it's Carlson, Matt Hayden using a little bit of work between themselves to get up front and try to pull away as that 32 pink and blue machine leads off the exit turn 2.
See how long it takes for the guys that pitted to kind of move back up, even though they're not on fresh tires. Some of those guys running in the top 3. We'll see where they move up to. As Kevin Zabladil going to go to the outside of the 5 of Hayden, and we'll see if he elects to follow the 32 on that high line. He's been running the middle, but gets into the outside wall there, Sam, and that's big trouble for the 17.
Big trouble, big slide, uses the wall to assist him to get back straight. Did not get massive wall damage, luckily for Kevin Zabladil, and his race is not over. Again, these drivers do have a fast repair, but luckily did not smash that wall, so now it's going to go into a full recovery run for the 17. Now mixed and mingled with everyone else that already pitted, but running on board with Stratter, gets squeezed behind. Catrone, who really didn't take off. The outside wall was the 21, but I was watching Kevin Zabladil off that recovery run. He is still blitzing quick. I don't think there's any save mode for the 17. He wants to get right back up front with that lead group.
Now he just sent it down into 3 and 4 there after getting into the outside wall to try to get these spots back. Racing for stage points, so every position matters inside the top 10 on these stage points, but held up now behind the 10. Roland Collette is that 17 machine, so there's spots that he gained, now losing, but here he goes 3 wide, Sam, into 3 and 4.
3 wide on the inside and trying to utilize all this grip that's left in these tires. Again, we got the caution, so these drivers got a little bit of cool down on these temperatures of the tires, so they can now get slightly more aggressive if they like. But this is incredible to see the fact that this 17 is recovering as well as he has after that big slide. But looking at the rest of the field, I think everyone else taking it pretty cautious as the 17 squeezes Catrone up to the outside wall and just slows down everyone from 5th on back.
I killed the momentum for everybody in that pack right there. I don't think Catrone's going to be too happy with Kevin after that move. We'll see if he maybe races him a little bit harder, but here comes the 38 fighting back on the outside.
Fighting on the outside, and gonna be seeing the 29 as well. Stratter trying to find an opening, but it's all Hunter Carlson and Justin Malarkey, Hunt and Matt Hayden. Again, seeing those top 3 trying to pull away from the rest of the field. As Kevin Zabladil trying to pull along everyone on the inside, as everyone in this group still in touch to our leader with the draft. But we still are in the middle of this stage. Our stage break at the end of lap 45, and with the fact that these drivers got caution on that lap 8 for themselves, such an early caution to be thrown out, but that was right around the window. You kind of needed a caution to come out if you could top off on fuel and make it to the end. I'm curious for those 5 drivers that did not pit, if they felt like they were still going to need a pit stop if we stayed green, and that's why they hit pit road.
It's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out for Carlson, Malarkey, Hayden, I believe Stephen Rochek and Kevin Zabladil saying on it they're going to have enough fuel. Were they able to save enough under that caution to make sure they can make it to the end of the stage? Or is that pit stop that Catrone and Stratter made and the rest of those guys, is that going to be the play here? We're going to have to just wait and find out.
Waiting so far as the field continues to take lap after lap. Drivers further on back that are struggling after being involved with earlier incidences. Jesse Allen talk about the driver that was on the outside wall, usually taking the brunt of the damage. Well, Jesse has not been able to recover. The 28 still runs 16 and is all the way back on his own. Also seeing other drivers that are out on track trying to have their own run. Again, a couple of drivers not with schemes that they should be running, but others are trying their best. Here's going to be James Fitzmarcus, who's going to be in the 88 on our ticker. Looks to be 33 on his scheme as he's running here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it happens sometime. I believe for James, new to the league, maybe just didn't get the paint scheme number set properly, so that happens as we look back here to the 75. And Michael Martino also, I think, back for his 2nd race of the season.
He's been here. He's been here a few times. It's actually his 6th race. He's just further on back most of the time, so we don't really get to talk about Martino because he gets into early trouble. But here tonight, in his own world, back in 15th position, giving space. The driver who's having one of his returns is Steven Rochek, who's kind of been on vacation recently, and happy to be out there on course and able to race with some of these drivers. One driver changing up the scheme. Welcome to October, as today is October 1st, and instead of running the green, the 84 of John Velocity, bringing out the pink for breast cancer awareness. So usually drivers running pink machines all throughout the month, and that's what the 84 is going with for the rest of the season. You'll have to see when drivers are trying to bring out their own awarenesses, and I know for some drivers they love when it's October where they can bring out the pink machines.
It's always fun when you get to October and seeing all the pink and bringing the awareness to the breast cancer battle, Sam. So always fun when we get to do these broadcasts and see all the drivers with the special colors out there.
It's so nice to see as Rodchak, the 21, runs on the outside, and we're talking about the fact of the change. Drivers that are willing to go full bore early in the run, others that are willing to be patient. One of those that was being patient and won last week at Bristol has trouble getting on the outside wall. That's going to be Roland Collette, who brushes into that outside wall for the 10 machine. Major loss of time as he just found himself going a little bit too high through the center of the corner and just turns into a magnet. Could not get off the wall as everyone else blitzes by him, and in a blink of an eye, you go from racing around 8th place to now outside of the top 10. And for Roland Collette, not getting stage bonus points could be critical for himself. But back to what I was talking about, Andrew Little, this is a driver I'm curious about. How is this run going to change for him? Because he look to be on the patient side and doing what he's doing all season long. Wait until the end of a run where the strength of this 68 really shows.
Yeah, we talked about it last week at Bristol, that saving tire was what he was good at and he was looking forward to. So we'll see, Sam, if that's going to be the case here tonight at Kansas, as he currently just kind of runs there in 6th behind some of these guys like Catrone and Stratter, who have really kind of been pushing since that restart.
And double trouble for Kevin Zabladil. Tried to enter pit road, missed pit entry by a mile, had to stay out on track, and losing even more time even after his slide. He's expected to go into pit road this go around as he's trying to recover after that mistake. Just carried too much speed, automatically pulled back onto the track. But the 17 now going into pit road, going to be your first green flag pit stop. Also, Jesse Nowland hit pit road 4 laps ago to get service done. And now this is the question for those other drivers, such as our top 3, Carlson, Malarkey, Hayden, and then Steven Rodchak. When will those 4 drivers hit pit road? Because they did not come into pit road under our lap 8 caution. They've got a decision. Do they push it out as far as they can go, or do they pit at the halfway zone? As Malarkey as well as Carlson both brushing the wall.
Running that high line, trying to get all the momentum you can. You got to be careful. You will catch that turn 4 wall on exit there, as we've seen a couple drivers do it. But yeah, what's going to be the plan here, Sam? Are they going to stay out for as long as they can? Do you pit? Knowing that the 17's already made his pit stop for fuel, potentially tires. I didn't watch the 17's pit stop, Sam, but that's the other question. Do you take tires here, or is it just fuel only?
I felt like if you were Kevin, you've got that stage yellow, but the problem is we don't know if the other drivers, such as Christian Stratter, James Catrone, if they're going to be in a position where they feel like they can stretch the fuel all the way out. If they can, this could be trapping Zabladil, Nowland, and any other drivers up the pit during this stage. 1 lap down, if those that already pitted can somehow find a miracle to stretch their fuel out to the end of lap 45, which it is possible if you really go into complete safe mode. And with no one expected to take tires, everyone should be on equal footing on pace. This could be catastrophic for those that get trapped a lap down.
It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And right now, battle for the lead heating up as Carlson's been caught by Malarkey and Matt Hayden, and not too far behind them, the 29 of Christian Stratton trying to catch up to these guys. Looks like Hayden's going to have a great run out of turn number 2. Sam looking for the lead in 3 and 4.
It almost looked like off the exit turn 2, Carlson just completely backed off like he was going into pit road, but that was off of 2. It was weird to see that pink machine have struggles. He continues to struggle even off of turn 4. Carlson tires are just gone. He is trying to find any little bit of speed, but it looks like it is just tightening up extremely here off the exit of the corners. And I'm concerned for Christian Stratter, who runs in 4th position as they try to close up on the 32's back bumper, but Malarkey just cannot find a way to get by Carlson as Hayden continues to pull away.
I wonder if this is going to be a battle of 2 cars that have kind of worn their tires out, and this is going to hold up the 29 machine, but we'll see. Malarkey almost clear, going to pull the slide job and clear the 32s into the outside wall. Sam, it really looks like Carlson's eating up those right side tires and is really starting to struggle.
Yeah, and it did not help when Malarkey drifted back in front of the 32, just took all that clean air away and just tightened up the 32 even more than it was before. And that is a tough spot for Carlson. Looks strong early on, but he's fading quickly now to fall back to fourth place. And Schrader just easily pushes into third position. And now it's just again survival mode. And Matt Hayden, Justin Malarkey, Hunter Carlson, they still have to pit. I do not think that you can stretch the fuel out to 45 laps with how short of fuel load these drivers are dealing with. Again, only 50% capacity compared to the full fuel load, which drivers in full fuel mode, they could go around 60 to 62 laps if you really were saving in this next-gen car in full capacity of fuel. With 50%, drivers are going to have pit road. And over driver's channel, Hunter Carlson making the work. He is entering pit road this go-around.
Here come. I'm assuming this would bring in the rest of the other 4 drivers that haven't made that pit stop yet. Carlson will be the first one down pit road, and we'll see Sam if he elects to take tires or just a fuel only stop for the 32. And then I would assume shortly after this, it's going to be Malarkey, Hayden, and Steven Wachek that are going to be the next ones down pit road.
They are the expected ones to enter pit road, and then also the drivers that have already pitted. What they think about making a pit stop, as Michael Martino is going to be entering pit road as he's 21 laps into his run currently, but up front still staying out is Malarkey and Hayden. They continue to run up front, and I think leading a lap is just as critical as making sure that you can stretch this fuel out, as we're 31 laps in of 45 before the stage is thrown. Top 10 drivers get stage bonus points, and with the fact that we've got 12 drivers that made it to the playoffs, one is missing, being Rusty Modesty. And drivers know how critical getting major stage points could honestly set you up to making it to the next round by a good stage finish here, and then a decent finish at the end of the night, heading into Talladega next week. Which Talladega next week, that is going to be a major wild card for the playoffs on who's going to be moving on as well.
You want to get as many points as you can tonight with the stage points and a good finish to kind of give you a little bit of buffer from what is going to be that wild card next week at Talladega. And for some drivers, the wild card that is the Roval. Who knows what could happen over the next 2 weeks with those 2 racetracks. So tonight, going to be really important to kick off this first round of the playoffs with a good run.
As seeing the drivers continue to stay out, as Steven Wachek makes the call to go into pit road, and Wachek looks to be with an extended time into pit road. A little bit of damage repair for the 21 that was needed. Felt like there was just too much contact, no black flag, and Wachek finally going to be leaving pit road after getting service done. Tough for the 21 machine. I don't think they were expecting to stay in pit road so long. They're going to be 1 lap down by the time this stage is over. And excuse me, it actually was a issue with coming into pit road as they slid and had an unsafe pit entry. Also, John Velasquez had to hit pit road. I think everyone's got a pit here as Malarkey and Hayden make their stop. This is going to get interesting here then of who's going to make the hard decision to take tires. That really could change who wins this stage or not.
Yeah, it could really shake up who wins the stage if they elect to take tires, and who tries to maybe save enough fuel, Sam, to not have to make that final pit stop. Because if you can save enough fuel and trap some drivers a lap down, I mean, that could really change things up. But looking at it, I mean, Malarkey and those guys went 34 laps. Stratter and them have been out there for 26 laps, so another 8 laps, give or take, that they're going to be able to run. It's going to be close, and I think you're right. I think everybody's going to have to make at least 1 pit stop here.
Colette, also Fitzmarcus, going to be coming into pit road, as well as going to be Gregory Barbanier, who makes their stop. And Gregory Barbanier, the one driver taking tires, the 40 machine, talked about how they were the underdog just sneaking their way into the playoffs, and it's gutsy calls like this that can get you into the next round. And the 40 machine has to make a historic run with 10 laps to go, utilize these tires to the fullest, and go get those 10 bonus points, because they can be critical to help you move on to the next round, as other drivers just topping off on fuel, getting back out there on track. Watch out for the 40. They're going to be flying compared to the rest of the field.
Oh, it's going to be fun to watch the 40 machine come through the field on those fresh tires. We'll have to see what the lap time difference is going to be here, Sam. But I fully expect Barbanier to be flying up through the field and get himself a potentially good stage finish here.
As other drivers, we still wait to hit pit road is Stratter, Little, Catrone, Bowchamp, and Steve Potter still need to make their pit stops. at this current time. Against Steve Potter, got to give credit to that 64. Even with being involved with our first caution of the day, minimal damage they took on and are able to go out there and try to go for a decent run here to finish off this stage as the 40 machine crosses the line. Some of our other competitors running about 32.5-second lap times. That last go around, the 40 Barboneer with 4 fresh tires, about a half second faster. It was a 31.9. I think needs a little bit of draft help, but once that Barboneer gets a little bit of that draft, might be able to move forward. But I'm looking at where the field's at right now. I gotta say, Trevor, this isn't looking good for Barboneer to be utilizing these tires to the fullest. This might have been a waste of taking a full set of tires here.
Yeah, with how spread out the field is, Sam, I was just looking at that. It's gonna be hard for him to gain some spots, and it looks like it's gonna be a bad pit call there. Maybe lost a little bit too much time with taking those 4 tires compared to everybody else. But we'll wait and see. But for Gregory, could be a kind of a Darlington situation where he's gonna be down a set compared to the rest of the field for the rest of the race.
Still can salvage this, but it's going to be a very tough race to the very end as Bouchamp going to be entering pit road. Same for Steve Potter. Andrew Little just taking the lead over Strader, as well as we have James Catrone still out there. So our top 3 last ones to try to make a pit stop before the stage is over. And it looks like it is stay out as long as you can, because you kind of made your bet at this moment, and you're going to just continue on. I take that back. Strader makes the emergency pit stop for the 29.
Yeah, I mean, he's right around that pit window that I saw the first group make, where they made it about 32 laps, and for Strader, that's right here. So I would guess, Sam, that Little Catrone, or that Andrew Little and James Catrone would be next down pit road here relatively shortly.
Trying to get by Martino is going to be Andrew Little, our leader. And you see that major slowdown, pits road for Andrew Little. James Catrone also going to be following in suit. And we've seen mistakes on pit road at super speedway style tracks here tonight. Luckily, no one caught with a penalty of speeding into pit road. Steven Ronchek did have the unsafe pit entry that held them back in the 21 machine, but everyone else able to get into at least pit entry safely. I know the 17, Kevin Zabladil, had his mistake also of having to miss the initial entry into pit road, had to go an extra lap. But everyone else, luckily, there is going to be a stage yellow as we have 5 laps to go, soon to be 4. And Matt Hayden looks to be the driver up front to maximize this run. Hayden takes the lead as going to be Little, Catrone, leave pit road. Andrew Little, gutsy call, looks to be potentially a 2-tire call for the 68.
I mean, not a bad call from Little there. I'm trying to think back, Sam, what race was it? Michigan, I believe.
It's been a lot. It's been a lot of races where I feel like Little is willing to take at least 2 tires.
I think it was Michigan where he took 2 tires as well and ended up winning the stage off of that call. So not a bad call for Little, and we'll see if that's going to work out for him here as he came out of pit road 5th. We'll see how much he's able to move through the field here as these laps widen out.
See the battle on screen for 6th place as Hunter Carlson making his move to try to get by Catrone. Also seeing Kevin Zabladil get into the mix here. Again, this is all battling for 6th position. Andrew Little, who took 2 tires, going to be back in 4th position, has about 4.2 second gap to Matt Hayden. About 2-second difference off of Justin Malarkey. I think a pass for 3rd is doable here. As you can see on screen, that's going to be the 84 of John Velocity. I think 2nd place might be the most doable passing attempt. I don't think the lead is potential for Andrew Little, but a great decision to try to at least maximize the points. We'll see how this changes things up later on as Martino stays high. It influences the 84 for a quick moment. Working up to 2 laps to go for Matt Hayden. What a call by the 5 machine. Just in the middle, kept on staying out. Same for Malarkey. They stayed out as long as they could. Made the pit stop that was critical just in time to have a big enough gap over Little, who I think if Andrew Little went for the same pit stop of not taking those 2 tires, probably would have been leading this race and would have won the stage. But went with the gamble. The gamble is going to come up shy as now coming up to about 1 lap to go when Hayden crosses the line.
That's going to come up a little bit short. That extra bit of time having to take those 2 tires compared to the guys who just took enough fuel to get to the stage is going to be the difference. It's going to be probably about 2.5 second gap as Hayden crosses the line. Andrew Little out of turn number 4. Coming across the line there, Sam. But I like the call, but the issue is now he's only going to have 2 sets of fresh right side tires for the rest of this race.
We already had one playoff implication entering the night with Rusty Modesty missing the race this evening due to travel timing issues. And Roland Collette, after slamming the wall, not getting the timing on going into pit road, the 10 leaves early. That is now 2 of our 12 playoff contenders with miserable starts to the playoffs. But for up front, Matt Hayden starts on a perfect stance. The 5 is going to be your stage winner here tonight as we wait for the rest of the field to cross the line to bring out the stage yellow. But what a run for Matt Hayden up front. With the way this race was going around, got to give huge kudos for this group, as the 88 machine of James Fitzmarcus is going to be the driver that takes that 10th place position, leaving out Steve Potter from the stage points. But I mean, Trevor, what a run there for the 5 machine, and for the field really got spaced out after those pit stops.
Yeah, it was a good strategy call there from Hayden. A little bit, the 2 tires tried to make it work, just wasn't didn't have enough time there, Sam. And for Barbineer, the 4-tire call got him up to 9th. But I don't know how well that's going to work out for him later into the run. And for Steve Potter and Jesse Nolan, after their incident that caused the first caution, good recovery from them just outside the top 10.
Just outside the top 10, and also going to be on the lead lap. That's critical for themselves, as Michael Martino should get the lucky dog spot to get back on the lead lap. But for us up in the booth, I think we're going to take our first commercial break of the evening. I want to say thank you to everyone that's been joining with us here tonight on Tuesday. The start of the playoffs for the Challenger Racing League, the first race of 3 for the round of 12. We will step away, but congratulations to Matt Hayden, your stage winner. We'll be back right after this.
here, 5 wide behind the pit. Oh my, 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at it, that's it.
It's
Bottom line, here it comes. I know the Carter gets wrecked. It's going to be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes. Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes into 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Challenger Racing League. We're into the playoffs as Gregory Barmanier, deciding not to pit, took the green, was able to lead some laps under pacing, but not able to lead a lap while we went green, as they'll fall back to the clutches of Andrew Little, Catrone, Matt Hayden, as drivers up front of Catrone and also going to be Little, both taking 2 tires in the middle of our stage racing and taking the other side of the set. Going to be here on this run on the restart, so they're going to be on slightly different tire sets than everyone else, but Matt Hayden, our stage winner, keeping it close for himself as the other drivers further on back trying to keep it underneath, but it's Catrone leading the charge on lap 52 coming to 53. No more stage racing, it's all about the win. And Trevor, I gotta say, this is going to come down to pit stops. We already saw how much just pit strategies could change this race during the stage. Now let's figure out who's willing to save, who's willing to get aggressive, and can we stay green?
It's going to be the questions that I can't wait to have answered, saying what the pit strategy is going to be like, what the tire calls are going to be like for these drivers when they make these pit stops. Will we see some late race drama with maybe some cautions as the 40 gets hard into the outside wall as Barmanier on those old tires, Sam, is really starting to, really struggling out there as he falls through the field.
Falling through the field, but it's okay. We're close enough. Luckily, the field's only going to have 14 drivers on the lead lap, so if you don't fall too far back, it's not a major loss. You can try to recover with pit strategies and also just raw speed. You're seeing here on screen going to be the 32 of going to be Hunter Carlson in 7th place. He's also got going to be Justin Malarkey ahead of him, and this grouping of drivers have been the top dogs all throughout tonight. But the driver I'm most impressed about, the 17, Kevin Zabladil, up to 4th, now challenging for that 3rd place position. Had so many mistakes during the stage run, but now the 17 on a charge to try to win this race, which would really minimize the amount of mistakes that were happening during that stage racing.
Yeah, got into the outside wall, missed pit road entry one time, kind of shuffled himself to the back of the top 10 there, but with a good recovery run so far to the start of the stage and a win here, same kind of, like you said, negates all the negatives that happened and really just kind of eases your mind for the rest of the first round.
As the field going to be again up front, it's James Catrone, Matt Hayden, Kevin Zabadil, Christian Schroeder, the driver in 5th place. Andrew Little was the fastest driver on the long run. He's going to be the one that we circle up if we can stay green. For the back half of the field, they're going to be trying their best to keep it together as Gregory Barmanier going to be the driver in the 40 machine who's going to have to pit sooner than everyone else because he's only got enough fuel to stay out there for another 10 to 12 laps. Did not pit for even fuel. I think that's the most shocking thing for the 40 machine.
Yeah, I mean, he took the 4 tires. We talked about it. Took the 4 tires on his pit stop before the stage break. Staying out, so I mean, he got a lap lead, got a bonus point for that. And looking at his lap times, Sam, he's not too terribly off lap time wise from what everybody's running, even on those older tires. But we'll see how that's going to work out as he continues to kind of free fall through the field there, battling with the 88 of James Fitzmaurice. Oh, got to make sure you stay off the wall, though. It's going to be Potter as well as Barmanier getting into brushing that wall as the field continues to rage on. But caution flag is out. Trouble further on back. It's going to be seen Bowchamp as well. Bowchamp trying to keep off of Martino. And Steven Rochak going to be involved with the wreck. Other drivers spun around. Jesse Nowlett, a couple of drivers involved with this one. They just went bizarre on what happened here as they went from brushing the wall to utter chaos as they were 4 wide for last place. And Bowchamp, Jesse Nowlett, Rochak, as well as Steve Potter all just get into one another. This one's going to be fun to go back and look at there, Sam. And for Potter, he's got a required damage flag, so the 64 machine going to have to come back down pit road and get that fixed. And I think for Potter, he's already used
Yeah, he's already used it.
Well.
He used it right when he went to the stage. If you didn't have to use it, that's a shocker that he's going to used it so early when it wasn't like an absolute need to use. And it's going to be coming off of turn number 4, going into turn 1, where this wreck's going to happen. It went 4 wide after issues of brushing the wall, causing drivers to back off, and it's the 4 drivers in the back that get into one another. As you're going to see here, Bouchamp forces Potter into the outside wall. Then they're going to be split with Nowlin and Rochak. Rochak grazes the grass, but Bouchamp just goes up again. Just lack of awareness. And 4 drivers involved, and Steve Potter's night's over. It looks like Jesse Nowlin pulls it off and calls it a night. We're going to be down just 13 drivers for the rest of this race.
And Nolan and Potter both used their fast repair after their first incident. Sam on lap 8. So both those drivers with the required damage and out. Nolan's already called it a night. Potter going to go down pit road and try to get that fixed. But for everybody else in that, you have to use their fast repair to try to stay out there. And for Barbineer, I don't know if he'd pit there, Sam, but that would have been a perfect opportunity on this opposite pit strategy to come down pit road and take tires and fuel.
Yeah, it's everyone from 5th on back deciding to come into pit road, gonna get at least fuel topped off for themselves. It looks like it's a 2-tire call for the 40 machine, and Bouchamp, Martino, Rochak, and Steve Potter all going to be in pit road for extended time. Luckily, I'm looking at Steve Potter was not a blown engine, luckily, for the 64. It looks to be a broken toe length. The required damage is fixed, but there's a lot of optional damage, and it looks like the 64 is going to have to spend extra time to get that damage repair, and is hoping not to go at least another lap down. That would be just a terrible call to happen. Luckily, he's going to be moving into the 64, so Steve Potter's night's not completely over, but a rough start it has been for these first 60 laps for this first race of the playoffs. Who was one of those drivers in a real underdog position was Potter, and now gonna have to deal with even more of pressure on his shoulders for the rest of this race and the rest of this round.
Yeah, it's gonna kind of set him behind the 8 ball, and he's gonna have a lot of work to do to kind of crawl out from underneath this hole next week in Talladega and at the Roval, Sam. And hopefully he can get that fixed. The toe link damage in Sim can be very finicky. You can either get it pretty well fixed up, or it'll say it's not a lot, and then it's the optional damage that really gets to you that you have to take to straighten that toe link back out. So we'll see for the 64 machine how that car is going to handle once he's back out there on track.
As the field gets ready to roll, Matt Hayden, Christian Stratter, as well as Justin Malarkey, 3 drivers deciding not to go into pit road. This is going to put them in a spot where they're going to be forced to hit pit road in the next at least 20 laps. Maybe might be able to go a little bit further than that, which it's still going to be outside of the zone of trying to take this race into a 1-stop from here. All the drivers, though, that just pitted, I think they might be able to turn this race. It's going to be very close to maybe a 1-stop. I think everyone's going to be in that weird zone of, if everyone is on the same understanding, go into extreme fuel save mode for this stint and the next, and you'll be able to find your way into a good finish at the end of the night.
It's kind of like the situation we saw ourselves in during the first stage, where we had an early caution. Drivers come down pit road to take fuel, others stay out. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out here, Sam, with the pit call. And what are our top 3 that stayed out? What do? Do they go into fuel save mode, or do they run as hard as they can before they make their pit stop?
1 driver, 2 drivers decided to pit as we go to the 1 to green. That's going to be John Velocity as well as Michael Martino. And no surprise, topping off on fuel was a decision for both drivers, as they're going to get service done, get back out there on track. And I think for John Velocity, it is how far can I stretch the fuel out on this run for this race, as we are closing in to halfway here tonight. Again, thank you so much to everyone that is joining with us here on your Tuesday evening, watching the Challenger Racing League. We cover plenty of other leagues throughout the week. This is actually going to be our last race of the week, though, as Wednesday nights with the WSSR Cup Series, they've just finished up their season, as they will be back November 6th for the start of Season 10. as Zach Hall took the crown. We were supposed to be having coverage of the Doghouse Cup Series on Thursday, but those drivers, because of the hurricanes that hit Florida and a lot of the south of the United States, we are actually going to be taking that date off, chosen by the admins. So we'll be back Monday next week for a full week of coverage as we are back to green flag action. A little bit of trouble for drivers further on back, but up front, it's Matt Hayden, Christian Stratter, Justin Malarkey, the three drivers that are in the odd spot for this run. When do they pit? And are they banking on just the caution to come out as we're 3 wide for third place?
I didn't take long to get 3 wide racing there as Malarkey was in the middle, but got a good run through the middle. Clears Catrone and Zabladil there, but Sam, we'll see how this is going to work out for these guys that elected to stay out as Catrone and the 17 battle for fourth, and those are going to be the first 2 cars that made that pit stop.
Trone, Zabladil, we know they're going to be wanting to get aggressive, get up front, get some clean air to work with. Or do you maybe strategically just follow the drivers ahead of you? You know, tires are going to be a factor at some point once you pit, but the big thing here is save fuel. And usually when we're at super speedway races, staying in the draft is a key way to save fuel. I'm curious if you're Zabladil, James Catrone, do you just stick with these top 3? Stay in line, utilize the draft, find ways to save fuel that way instead of going full bore and take the lead.
That would be, I think, the right thing to do, but you're asking a race car driver saying to save fuel. I mean,
yeah, I know.
The goal is to go, I mean, you want to go out there and win this thing, but I'm right there with you. I think if you're Catrone and Zabladil, if you save a little bit of fuel here, I mean, it can kind of help you out later into this race. But it's that racer instinct. I think these guys want to go up there and get the lead, and Catrone right now really hunting for it as he looks to the outside of Hayden and to the inside of the 29 of Stratton.
And that's the reason why I'm not out there driving. I go with the mindset of a crew chief of how do I place my driver in the best position. And I know a lot of drivers, they're always saying, just go, go, go. As we're seeing right now up front, Christian Stratter going full bore, same for James Catrone, who wants to take the lead as that outside lane being utilized by the 29 as well as 38. But it's Malarkey who gets forced in the outside wall. Immediate apologies by the 5 of Hayden to Malarkey. And we got now a new contender that you've been watching on screen. It's going to be Hunter Carlson. That pink and blue is putting his pressure up front.
Yeah, Carlson, who led a lot of the early part of this race, and then got up into the outside wall after eating his tires, and is now kind of recovered back up here into the top 6. Is the top 6 pretty much underneath the blanket here as they work their way through 1 and 2, and we'll see if Carlson can work his way back up there. But here goes the 17 trying to get to the outside of the 5 of Hayden and try to use that run here down the back straightaway, and just going to push him, Sam, all the way into turn number 3.
Push and go. As also we got a report of Steve Potter. He has called it a night. He's pulled into pit road, has left the session, so that's 3 drivers out. 13 drivers stay on track, as it's going to be Steven Rochak banking on a caution. Currently is 1 lap down, and the only driver 1 lap down, 12 on the lead lap. And it's up front where the best action is. Zabladil, slight contact to Malarkey. Justin Malarkey just being used up since we've gone green. And that 73 has got to be just praying to the iRacing gods and saying thank you so much that my car is still in one piece after those 2 contacts we've seen so far.
Kevin drove it really hard into 1 and 2, and thankfully I think got out of the throttle just in time to avoid spinning the 73, but that was almost catastrophic for both of those drivers. But everybody hangs on to it, regroups themselves, and here goes Kevin to the inside of Carl or Hayden there, saying trying to get that spot back, and he lost when he had to get out of the gas.
As Matt Hayden and Kevin Zabladil continue to go back and forth, it's Christian Stratter who stays up front. And again, keep on looking at the window of pit road, because Stratter, Malarkey, and Hayden, those 3 drivers still are going to have to pit before this race is over. Same with the rest of the field, but they're going to have to pit sooner than everyone else. About 20 laps is expected to be that early pit stop, and their pit road is going to be calling here in the next 10 to 15 laps. And I'm curious for, if you're Stratter, if you're Malarkey and Hayden, do you know, since we're going to have to pit 2 times, do we just pit now and then try to go for a full push? Because a lot of these drivers still have 2 sets of tires left, and you just utilize what you have right now.
This is why you'd be a great cruise chief, Sam. You ask the tough questions and probably have a better idea than I do as a driver. I'm just going out there. I'm going to run as long as my fuel tank is going to let me run. But I don't hate the strategy call there if you like to do that. I think for these guys that came down pit road, I think you're just going to stay out there when this first group makes their pit stop.
to continue to stay clean and green. We find ourselves with 62 laps to go once they cross the line. It has been some great racing action so far. We know pit road is about to get very busy for at least 3 of our drivers here tonight, but it's James Catrone leading the charge in the 38 machine, and Catrone's had some good races. I feel like these mile-and-a-half and these kind of traditional racetracks that NASCAR runs at, we see this 38 look consistent up front, willing to get aggressive at times and position himself up front. This has been a great start to the season. I know those first 2 races weren't the best for Catrone, but since race 3 to now, it has been great to see Catrone's great runs as Malarkey, he's testing his fate in that 73 machine with a big move and big crossover on the 29 of Stratter there.
Yeah, Catrone just kind of been really consistent after a rough kind of first couple of races, but been really consistent afterwards. And right now, leading the way over Malarkey. Malarkey's trying to hang on, been beaten up and used up, but hanging on there to second as Kevin finally gets cleared up into third as Hayden and Stratter, who went kind of hard there early in this run, starting to fall back through the field.
Every move can matter so much right now as Matt Hayden and Kevin Zabladil over the radio with one another, trying to figure out where they're going to go at this moment as we continue to watch all their competition around them is putting on a show of utilizing every little bit of their tires as they can, but also I'm shocked at the fact that there's some drivers taking it easy, others are not. But the big driver of note that pitted when we were coming to 1 to go, John Velocity, he is 4 seconds off of our lead pack. He is not in the draft, but he has consistently been just backing off, saving a little bit more than everyone else. This 84 is going with that fuel strategy call, but I don't think he's being as aggressive at fuel saving as he needs to be to really make this call work to the end of this race.
Looking at his lap times, he's running actually, only about 3/10 slower than the race leaders, and I feel like that's just I'm with you, Sam. I don't think he's saving enough, and the question is going to be: is giving up this time going to be worth it with the amount of fuel that he can potentially save?
How much fuel is left going to be for these drivers as Malarkey, Hayden, as well as going to be Stratter? They're calling for pit road here in the next 5 to 8 laps, but can we stay green until then? Because our battle for third place, also for second I should say, is 3 wide. Matt Hayden, Zabladil, Malarkey 3 wide for second position as Zabladil backs out, and it's going to be the 2 drivers going to be pitting early. They're challenging for second still.
Yeah, Malarkey up into the wall out of turn number 2, held on to it, and then held on to the 3 wide battles. Kevin Zabladil got really tight through the middle of 3 and 4, and Hayden just kind of holding on to the bottom. But for Malarkey and Hayden, I mean, they're going to be down pit road, he was saying, in the next 2 to 3 laps, along with the 29 of Stratter. So these guys trying to get into position to where they can make a clean pit stop and not have an issue getting on a pit road like we saw Kevin have earlier on in this race.
Everyone's trying every move possible here. Each lap that ticks away, the more pressure of, do I continue to stay out? Can I even afford to try and attempt to save fuel, or am I just going full bore and knowing that this is going to be a 2-stop race from here to the end? I just know I've got to make a very quick splash and go at the end of this race, or will some drivers try to be a little bit more aggressive on their pit stops? Or could it be the field's thinking about have caution? That could be the critical factor that could change up this race here late. With 13 drivers out on track, a caution doesn't seem like it would be possible here this evening. But the rest of the drivers that are out on track, not traditionally known for bringing out these late yellows, but with the way this front group's racing and the little slide job moves they go for these passes, I mean, they're testing fate every lap with these slide job moves that they're making off the exit of the corner.
Yeah, I mean, with how close these guys have been racing up front, I mean, it just takes a little bit of contact to upset these cars. That could cause a caution, and I wouldn't be surprised, Sam, with kind of what we've seen so far. But right now, everybody doing a good job. As here comes Kevin Zabladil trying to get to the inside of Malarkey, and these two have almost made contact several times, and we'll see if this pass can get done pretty quickly and cleanly here.
As they continue to rage on, one driver that we have not talked about in our top 6, that's Andrew Little. He continues to just stay slowly attached back in 6th position. The driver that enters tonight, same with James Catrone, tied with the most top 5s, entering tonight with 5. It's a kind of a tale of two different tapes. You got Catrone, who's going massively aggressive, and then you got Andrew Little, who's just being patient as always, just letting the race come to him and watching his competition go back and forth and letting all these competition and other drivers get aggressive. And Little's doing the strategy call I was kind of talking about. Just let your competition race this one out, stay behind, utilize the draft, and he is watching the competition just use every little bit of action they have. As over the radio, it sounds like might be seeing Schrader entering pit road for the 29. Little goes high, and here we go. Those first couple of pit stops, they're about to be underway.
There comes the 29 to Schrader. I would expect in the next lap you'll see Hayden and Malarkey down pit road as the 29 gets cleanly onto pit road, and it's going to be 4 tires and fuel for him. But Hayden up here maybe pressuring for the lead here with Sam, but he's going to have to make that pit stop as we see Malarkey here work his way through 1 and 2. Use
the pressure, force the 38 to use his tires, maybe try to give a little bit of a gap so that Zabladil and Little aren't close enough to run down this 38. But at this moment, I would say Malarkey, Matt Hayden, they have to be thinking about pit stops here very quickly. Into pit road's going to be the 5 machine as Andrew Little calling it. It is green light. It is go. The 68 wants to get up front, and he's making some big moves, but not able to get by Hunter Carlson for 4th place. He still is stuck, and right now for Andrew Little, he has to get by this 32 and 17 as fast as possible, because we know that 73 is going to have to hit pit road, and over the radio he says he's going to pit road, and Little has to back off and get in line on the outside.
You think he gets out back in line on the outside, but he'll elect to stay on the bottom, maybe feeling like the 73 is going to be out of the way before he gets there.
Wow, Malarkey slowing down in the middle of 3 and 4, and it clogged everyone up. Big scare for the 17 as Zabladil. And it just looked like when that 73 hit the brake, just shot him up the track. A big scare for the field.
That could have been huge there. Zabladil gets into the outside wall, but from Malarkey just trying to get on the pit road, Sam and the car just went straight on him, getting on the brakes, and everybody thankfully able to hold on to it. But a big scare for the field there as they were trying to work around that car getting down pit road.
You know, I guess good thing Andrew Little wasn't high, because if he was, he probably would have squeezed a little bit more. Didn't have time to really react there. That hurts Zabladil the most, but big moment for the field. 4 tires and fuel for Malarkey. He'll take off and go. Little's able to move up to 3rd. And now it transitionalizes into our top 9. They're going to be calling for pit stops here in the next 8 laps. Question is, do you pit a little bit sooner, a little bit later, or who saved enough to stretch the fuel out just a little bit more than everyone else?
Yeah, that's the key. I mean, I look back to the 84 of Velocity, who's kind of just been off the pace compared to everybody else. The 68 of Andrew Little, did he do any fuel saving, just kind of running behind everybody? And if you're Kevin Zabladil, Hunter Carlson, and Gregory Barbanir, do you pit maybe a little bit earlier, especially with Kevin, the amount of times that he's had issues here tonight? Do you maybe come down a little bit earlier, Sam, and try to get that undercut?
And another driver that's on the same strategy as John Velocity, that's going to be Michael Martino. He has gone into fuel save mode. He's been a full second off of the whole entire field. He's 16 seconds off of 7th place, 21 seconds off the leader. I don't know if this is going to be the strategy call that gets you into victory lane, but Martino could be going for a strategy call for one of his best finishes of the season if this race stays green and the strategy call works out. But again, this is what's the fun of fuel strategy races. They kind of give the unknown and give a chance for those wild card drivers to go for something a little bit crazy. And speaking about crazy, here's Gregory Barbanir putting pressure on our top 5 as the 40's on the outside of Kevin Z. And Zabladil, gotta be careful here as that 40's trying to figure out where's that killer instinct to go for this pass, but it looks like it's settled in at this moment. That outside lane not there, but the wall is calling.
Yeah, just got up in the wall, just drove it in a little bit too deep. But for Barbanir, you know, we were thinking he was going to be in trouble there, Sam, with that off strategy call that he made there at the stage. But that caution allowed him to come down pit road, get 4 tires, and now he's up here trying to, you know, get up into 4th position and looking pretty good for that 40 machine.
You know, it's crazy. I'm looking at that last pit stop that Barbanir took. He only took 2 tires. That 40 machine felt like he needed to loosen up the machine. Did that call of taking just 2 tires that loosened it up, gave the handling. I think that's what's happening. Barbanir just keep close with our top drivers. It's been a great run so far. Seen our top 3 really pull away though from 4th place, where we see the 17 and your top 3 being James Catrone, Andrew Little, and Hunter Carlson, as other drivers out on track. Here's Malarkey getting by the lap machine of Steven Rodchek. Both drivers 1 lap down, but with Christian Schrader, Matt Hayden already with their pit stops, and Malarkey's just big blunder trying to enter pit road, it's given a better chance for Schrader to get the lucky dog if a caution flag was to come out.
Yeah, it's that little bit of an issue that Malarkey had getting on pit road. You can see the amount of time that it cost him. Those guys were pretty much under an umbrella when they came down pit road, and now Malarkey going to be a couple seconds behind them as Hayden tries to battle with the 29 of Schrader, and this should be quote-unquote the battle for the lead of the drivers who have already made their pit stop.
Pit stop made. Can this grouping, though, stretch out of fuel? I don't see how they can make it to number that if you're going to make it on fuel, you're going to have to somehow get to lap 100. And the longest we've seen a lot of these drivers go is about 32 laps on a green flag stint. And a lot of drivers over the radio, they're calling it, this is the lap that you have to enter. So this is Trevor putting the field in a spot where it's going to be about 10 laps to 15 laps short from making it to the end of this race. The field is going to have a splash and go. There's still 1 more pit stop to go after this one's made.
And the question is going to be on that final pit stop, is it fuel only, 2 tires, 4 tires? That's going to be the question to make, that's going to have to be answered from these drivers when you get to that point with that 10 laps to go mark. But right now, everybody else going to have to make their pit stops. Little, Carlson, Zabladil, Velocity, Barbier, and they're going to be the top 5 that haven't made those pit stops yet, and they're all kind of right here under a blanket with drivers that have already made the pit stops.
Hunter also going to be Schrader sneaking their way by the 17. Stuck on the outside lane, though, is going to be John Velocity. Velocity just had nowhere to go if he was wanting to go to pit road that go around. Instead, let's go another lap. Schrader and Hayden finally able to get by the 84 machine. As over the radio, John Velocity makes the call. He is hitting pit road. Hunter Carlson making the call. He's going to pit road. Andrew Little yet to make an announcement over the radio or even in the driver's text chat that he's going to be going into pit road. The 68 looks to be, it is pit road for our leader. Top 3 pit stops calling. Moves up front. Though, as you see Schrader and Hayden, this should be the grouping that takes the lead once this pit cycle is over. Well, they get battle back and forth. Is this killing too much time? But it looks like Hayden does not want to just stay behind this 29. The 5 wants to win badly.
Wants to get the win, pulled up the strategy call at the stage to get the stage win, wants to get the race win as well, and pulls up in front of the 29. And, I mean, just get clear. Sam tried to run away. The guys on the fresher tires are going to catch you at some point, but you want to try to pull a big enough gap to those guys that it kind of mitigates it when you do make your final pit stop.
As drivers are taking off, it was a great run overall, watching the whole entire field. One driver, though, might have ran out of fuel. That's Steven Rodchek, who looks like he will make it to pit entry. So no caution flag will be thrown. We stay green. And now it's the chase, it's the run to when do you make your final stop. As everyone is splitting up, it's going to be a few laps before we get to that critical fighting moment. So this is going to be our last opportunity to take a commercial break, and we will take this attempt. I want to say thank you to everyone once again for watching with us here this evening on Tuesday night, watching the Challenger Racing League. The first race of the round of 12 has been giving us a good one. As one green flag stops over, still one more to go. We will be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Challenger Racing League as we are currently in the final stages of tonight's race. The whole entire field still has one pit stop to go. No one was in the range, even in extreme fuel saving, to make it to the end. But if you pit now, you are good, as everyone still needed to take off and make it to the end. As currently at this moment, we got 11 drivers on the lead lap, as Michael Martino had issues, had to go into pit road, get something figure it out. He's finally back out on course, 10 laps down. Steven Rochak caught up in a couple of issues. He's currently 2 laps down. Gregory Barnier, mistakes on pit road, mistakes on course. The 40 machine is 1 lap down, as well as Bouchamp currently 1 lap down, now making it just a total of 9 drivers on the lead lap, as Matt Hayden and others getting ready to see when their pit stops are going to be made. Hayden, Malarkey, Christian Schrader, they're in a spot where they are going to be the first to go into pit road. The question is it better go early or later to make this stop?
That's going to be the real question there, is everybody can pit. If you pit now, can make it to the end. The question is going to be, do you early pit, go for the undercut, and try to gain some time on everybody else? If you're a driver like Kevin Zabladil, John Velocity, James Fitzmaurice, Gregory Barnier, the bottom half of the top 10, do you make that early pit stop, Sam, and try to undercut these guys? And if you're the guys that have, already that made the late pit stop, like Andrew Little, James Catrone, do you pit the same time Hayden and Malarkey do to try not to lose enough time when they're on fresh tires?
So many tough decisions to make, and which one will be the right, we'll have to find out and see. As we were under commercial break, want to give a congratulations to Parker White, winner of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series, as they just finished up, and he is a brand new champion. Crazy to see the way that he won that race. After this one's over, might want to go over to the NASCAR station and see the last overtime attempt. It was some great racing action, as currently on screen, though, pit stops about to be made as Matt Hayden and Christian Schrader, they're making their pit stop. This is their final one of the day, as they're coming up to 24 laps to go.
Their final pit stop, and Sam, I think Schrader, I'm not sure, but it looked like he clipped the cone on pit entry. I'm not sure if he's going to get a penalty for that. I don't see a black flag for him yet, but we'll wait and see. This could be trouble for the 29 on this final pit stop.
Yeah, I was looking at it. Rochak didn't get a black flag either for his penalty when he went and had an illegal pit entry, but it looks like it is clean to go for Matt Hayden. Waiting for the official time for Schrader, and Schrader is still on pit road. Penalty for the 29.
That's that
penalty for Little. Little get caught speeding on pit entry. 2 playoff contenders with penalties here late.
It's every week. I think we harp on it every week, or at least I do. You cannot make pit road mistakes. It will cost you championships. And right there, two playoff drivers with issues getting onto pit road, and 40-second holds for both of them.
And over the radio, it sounded like Andrew Little, he was looking for the cone on where the pit entry was, but because Schrader hit the cone, it was not there. So Little didn't know where he was supposed to slow it down, and caught speeding. That is a 40-second hold. And we might be down to just 7 drivers, maybe even down to 6 that are on the lead lap after all these pit road errors that are happening. It's still plenty of other drivers still needing to pit. Here's Catrone, Malarkey, 2 drivers yet to come into pit road. We also wait for the likes of Hunter Carlson, John Velocity still needing to make their stops, as Carlson and Velocity looks like they're going to be just leaving pit road at this time. But a huge shock to see Little finally able to take off and go.
It's just an unfortunate turn of events for the 68 machine, and now you just got to get your head down and go out there and get as many spots as you can before the end of this race. Thankfully for Andrew, only about 12 cars, or technically 12 cars kind of on his lap, as Martino down 10 laps. Everybody else was a lap, 2 laps down, so a chance still to maybe salvage the top 10 with drivers having issues. Sam?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing, is that a couple of drivers have been having issues on this run. So like I said, you can salvage something out of this. Still waiting for 2 drivers to make their stops, and they're the 2 on screen. That's James Catrone, Justin Malarkey. They are still out on track and waiting for when they're going to be making their stop into pit road. And seeing some drivers, majority have taken 4 tires and fuel. A couple have one has taken 2 tires and fuel, that being the likes of, I believe that's going to be John Velocity taking 2 tires for himself. Now Malarkey into pit road. Will Malarkey take 2 tires? Because it seems like 2 tires has been a pretty good decision to make. Kind of loosens up this tight machine, helps you on the long run. Curious if Malarkey's going to take that decision as drivers still waiting for Catrone to make his final stop of the evening.
Yeah, the 2 tires usually good for, they're really good for about a 15 to 20 lap run, which is about where we're at. Get a little bit tight after that, but it looks like 4 tires for Malarkey. Here's Sam as he's done with his pit stop back out onto the racetrack. We'll see when Catrone in that 38 elects to bring his car down. And the longer he stays out, the more time he's going to lose to these guys on fresh tires.
4 tires and fuel for Justin Malarkey as Matt Hayden, the first driver to go into pit road, those 5 laps ago. Currently over 5 seconds ahead over Malarkey. Malarkey now 6 seconds behind Matt Hayden. Hayden might have timed this thing perfectly with where he's at, and Justin Malarkey has fallen all the way down to 6th position, over 8 seconds behind Hayden. This could be a massive for Catrone. Every lap he stays out, it is so much more time that he's losing. But is he trying a risky call to continue to stretch it? Because he's running about a 32.4. It's a little bit over a second loss in time. He's not having the help of the draft. This is just every lap losing more and more ground. I don't know why he's still out there on the track, maybe banking on a caution. That's the only thing I could think of for this 38, because a race win, if we stay green, is out of the picture.
Yeah, not going to get the race win. Maybe hoping for that caution to trap everybody a lap down, but I just don't see that happening. Same with the amount of cars out there on the racetrack. Maybe a 2-tire call late on this pit stop, not having to take a lot of fuel, but still with the amount of time he's giving up here for the 5 of Hayden and the 32 of Carlson, I just don't see this strategy working out for James Catrone.
Matt Hayden might have just fooled everyone with the time that he went into pit road, went earlier than everyone else, took advantage. And with the way that the tires have been falling off here tonight, it has not been a massive cliff fall off on tire wear. It has been very gradual, you know, a 10th here, 10th there. So if you've got a 3 to 4 lap difference, it's not as massive as we've seen at other tracks. And especially with the fact that not everyone is in the draft, that also kind of makes it more of a plateau on the tire wear that we've been seeing for these drivers. And Hayden, with almost a 7-second lap gap lead over Hunter Carlson, the 5 is just skipping ahead over everyone with 15 laps to go as Catrone hits pit road.
It just about unlapped himself there, but Catrone finally brings that 38 machine down pit road. Hayden just running off into the sunset essentially in that 5 machine over Carlson, Velocity, and Malarkey. We'll see what Catrone elects to do here, Sam, on his pit stop and where this is going to put the 38 out. But I think you're right. The 5 of Hayden, I think, looks to be in the catbird seat for the race win.
He's just skipping up front. I mean, it's a couple of tenths here and there each lap, so it is still possible looking at Hunter Carlson and also John Velocity. They got to find a lot of extra speed if they want to run down and catch up to Hayden, as Catrone does get passed over the lead, getting back out on courses on the apron. All of his other competitors are about to be taking off. Justin Malarkey just put down the fastest lap. He's now caught up to John Velocity, Hunter Carlson, as well as trying to get by Catrone, who just enters into this mix of this group. It is 7 seconds, almost 7.5 seconds, the difference between Catrone and Hayden. And the lap difference, 10 laps. Catrone has got to hit every lap perfectly if he wants to run down this 5 machine before this race is over.
It has to do it on 2 tires, and we'll see what the difference is going to be in lap times between 2 tires and old tires compared to the guys around him here, Sam. But I mean, he's got to get through Malarkey, Velocity, and Carlson, and hope he has enough tires to try to close that gap down to the 5. I don't think he's going to have enough time or the tires to do it.
Oh, someone's trying to jinx him already. I mean, I know we've been making the call of it's over. Kevin Zabladil over the driver's radio channel just said, go to win, Matt. With 12 laps to go, I know we've got the power of commentator's curse. Is there a driver's curse of celebrating a little bit too soon? Because Catrone does have an opportunity here. There's still enough time, but he's got, like I said, has to hit every lap perfectly while getting by other drivers. This is going to be the tough part. Has already gotten by one of John Velocity for 4th. There's still a couple of other drivers to get by before this race is done. But with all the pit road mistakes, we're down to 7 drivers on the lead lap. And I got a feeling we might be down to just 6 drivers on the lead lap with the pace that we're seeing from our lead 6.
Yeah, I mean, very well could see the, I believe, the 88 of James Fitzmaurice go a lap down here at some point, and only having the 6 cars on the lead lap. And I mean, it's just the pace that these guys have been running and the mistakes that were being made. You look back Andrew Little, Christian Shred are able to be inside the top 10 with those pit road mistakes, but took them out of a chance to win here, same as they're a lap down in those positions. As here goes Catrone battling for third place with Justin Malarkey.
As Catrone trying to find an opening, not able to get by. We'll have to settle back in line, and that mistake right there could be the nail in the coffin for these next 10 laps. Again, at this point, I think the rest of the field knows it is going to come down to if a caution flag comes out, that is what could change this race so far. But if you're Matt Hayden, I mean, what a season it's been. So many opportunities, and finally in a spot to go for a win. Yet to do so this season. He's had 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. And the strategy calls have almost been perfect for all those races. As Catrone, as well as Malarkey, trying to get by at Bouchamp, who Bouchamp almost giving us a little bit of deja vu to that second wreck that we had here today.
Yeah, it could have been a game changer right there. Had they made contact and brought out a caution, and I think we would have seen some heated drivers there. But everybody will get by Bouchamp, and this is just hurting Catrone and his chances to run down the 5 of Hayden. Hayden with about a 5-second gap. I mean, Carlson's closing in, Sam, but only 9 laps to go. He's not closing in quick enough, as now they're pretty much the 3rd through 4th underneath the blanket right here as they exit turn number 4.
And how aggressive defensive moves will we see from Hunter Carlson, who's been ran down this pink and blue machine of the 32. He's going to ride high, going to be hoping to get the better run, but it's James Catrone who's loving the pad. The Hunter Carlson slower driver is going to be on the outside, kind of holding up Malarkey, but Catrone doesn't have the draft help. Malarkey gets the draft assistance, bump drafts forward. Catrone has to go for a slide job move, and Carlson has to back off, and that is the pass that was needed. James Catrone finally having some clean air to work with. Where is the raw speed, and is there enough time? 7 laps to go for this 38. It's 5.5 seconds the difference. Does the 38 machine have enough pace to run down the 5?
I mean, he's going to need, what, about 6/10 a lap? 5/10 a lap, Sam, to get there?
It was like 7/10, I think, that he has to hit. It's going to be, he's got to put down ridiculous pace. He's got to run down the fastest laps of the race every lap from here to the end, and hope that Matt Hayden is running some of his slowest laps of the day if he wants a chance to run down that 5 machine. It's down to 5.5 seconds now at the line. So that was a half-second gain, but you need a little bit more each lap if you want to catch up to that 5 machine.
That was about 6/10 of a second between Hayden and Catrone, a 31.9 to a 31.3. We'll see what it is going to be this time around. I mean, he is closing, Sam. The question is going to be the amount of laps. Did he waste too much time trying to get around Carlson and Malarkey? This time across the line, a 32 flat for Hayden, and it's going to be a 31.4, another 6/10 for Catrone.
Is it enough? Almost 4 seconds now after that lap. Almost a full second gain from the line of where James Catrone was after going through the corner of Matt Hayden. Staying patient, running the top, trying to hit his marks. 5, going to be 4 laps to go when they cross the line here tonight. And pit stops were critical. Matt Hayden, one of the first drivers to hit pit road. Usually that strategy is not the winning one. But for Hayden here tonight, he had a feeling you just needed a big enough gap. And the driver, James Catrone, did he stay out 3 laps too late? Because I've got a feeling here, Trevor, if we didn't see James pit, if he pitted 3 laps sooner, he could have been right on Matt Hayden right now.
Yeah, I think a little bit sooner of a pit stop could have put him in a better place. He's given it everything he can. Another 5/10 taken out, but I just don't think it's going to be enough here, Sam. 3 laps to go and about 3 seconds to gap. I think it's too much ground that this 38 is going to have to make up.
Michael Martino stays low to let Matt Hayden go on by. There's another lap car that could be a factor. That's going to be the 21. It's Steven Rodchak. Is going to be in front of Matt Hayden. Catrone, though, 3 seconds difference at this time with 2.5 laps to go. It might be within a second by the time that we hit the white flag. And at that point, James Catrone's going to be banking on the fact that he's got a little bit of the draft to help him. At this moment, though, he's too far back. There's no draft help. But with Matt Hayden catching up to Rodchak, he's getting the draft assistance more than the 38. It's 3, making now 2 laps to go. And it's 2.8 seconds as Catrone hits the line.
Yeah, just that pit strategy call from Catrone staying out a little bit too long. Now up into the outside wall in turn number 2. I think it's the white flag out the window for the 38, and Hayden again, pulling off the great strategy call like he did in the stage, Sam, to get himself a win here tonight.
White flag thrown for James Catrone, giving up on the war, but maybe we're giving up on the battle. Maybe the war's not over, but white flag is given for Matt Hayden, signifying the fact that this is the last lap of the race. And for Matt Hayden, it's been all season looking for a chance to get into victory lane in the 5, finally having a chance off a 2.
Just got to get through down the backstretch and through 3 and 4 cleanly. No lap traffic around him, no pressure out front. And for Hayden, going to collect the first win here, Sam, as he works his way into turn number 3.
It took Matt Hayden 8 laps for us to get to this point. The first race of the playoffs, and the 5 is starting off on the right foot. Matt Hayden wins here at Kansas for the first race of the playoffs.
What a run for Hayden Catrone. Valiant effort with the pit strategy to come home in second. Malarkey gets himself a third. Velocity, who we thought was on the fuel save there, Sam, comes fourth, and Carlson comes home with the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see a lot of drivers. Got to give huge kudos to Andrew Little and Schrader after their pit road mistakes. They will be first and second of those that were 1 lap down. And they're both going to be kicking themselves on the penalties that they both grabbed at the end of that green flag cycle when they could have been factors there late. But they were no one close to the 5 machine. Matt Hayden was always up front at some point during this race, and ultimately the strategy call was perfect. Pitted sooner than everyone else, built the gap big enough to where no one else could catch him. Matt Hayden gets to enjoy this one, burn it down in the 5 machine. As we will step away when we come back, it's the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3, get their thoughts on tonight, and get prepared for next week's race, the second race of this first round at Talladega. We'll be back right after this. And we are back for the post-race show, giving you coverage of the Challenger Racing League. Race 1 of the playoffs is done and dusted, and we head to victory lane to talk to the 5 machine of Matt Hayden, who had a spectacular race here tonight. Didn't qualify exactly where he wanted to, but he won the stage and ultimately wins the race. Matt, congratulations on your first win of the season, and what a time to grab it. How are you feeling after tonight's race?
Oh, I feel great. That was I'll say unexpected. I mean, I've always liked this track. This was I started thinking about it when it kind of felt like everything was locked in. But I started racing on NASCAR, 2003 sim, and I think the first league race I ever did was at Kansas Speedway, and I led a lot of laps there. Had a chance to win it, and didn't work out. And sim racing just took off from there. So I think this track is just. I don't necessarily like the track. It's just I guess I run well here, so real happy about that.
I mean, Matt, you made two really great strategy calls. I mean, what was your confidence level, especially there on that last one about pitting as one of the earliest drivers out there and being able to hold on to the win?
Yeah, I think it was just kind of a consequence of having that lead. I think I kind of had room to kind of pit a little early and manage that gap. I was afraid the one car I was watching was Catrone. I knew James Catrone was going to be tough. He's always good at tracks like this. He ran out front. We kind of we paced ourselves in that first stage, and I felt like I might have got lucky on winning first stage just by chance. And when after stage things kind of took off, and James kind of took off on us, I started kind of getting worried. I said, well, he's going to be probably the guy to beat. And man, I think if I don't know if he would have pit maybe handful laps earlier, I think the end of that race may have been a lot closer than it was. But man, just happy that we finally for once made the right decisions on pitting, and it worked out in the end.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big thing, Matt, that we were talking about up in the booth. Felt like just 3 laps sooner, and Catrone could have been there, but with how Lady stayed out, I think we were calling it that you were going to win that race. Same as when Kevin was over the radio about 13 laps left of this race. It looked like it was an absolute. But congratulations on this win. And Matt, before we let you go, the floor's now yours for any shout-outs.
I just want to thank everyone in the league, Challenger. We were kind of lucky to kind of kick this thing off. Group of guys. I mean, obviously, you see the race, and man, it's a respectful league. We're friends with each other. We want to race hard, but we want to race clean. I think that shows on track with clean racing, few cautions, just a lot of respect for everybody in this league. Zab Moto, my Misfit guys, Rusty, Zab, and Jimmy was out here with us after, he decided to tough it out and finally kick butt on one leg. And man, I'm just proud of everybody. Thank Hunter for the recommendation for the paint. Obviously, it worked out, so we got the Hendrix Motorsports paint going, the inverse colors. So just want to thank everybody and y'all for the broadcast, man. I love going back. Obviously this is going to be one I'll be me laying in bed watching a replay of, and I'll probably get up tomorrow and watch it again. So appreciate y'all.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great race to call. That will be your winner here tonight. First race of the playoffs, first race of the round of 12. And it's Matt Hayden starting off on the right foot. Stage winner and race winner. Congratulations, Matt, and good luck next week at Talladega.
Thanks, everybody.
As we move up into second place, we bring in James Catrone, who had his own moments where it looked like he was going to be the driver in a victory lane, but comes up shy, just one position. James, it's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. Congratulations on second. It looked like there were moments where, like I said, you had a chance to win this race, but ultimately you come away second. How are you feeling after your performance here tonight?
Oh, pretty good. I mean, of course, I'm a little bummed because there were times when I felt like I had it, but no, I'm happy with the finish. Based off, I didn't run any laps here until practice tonight, and I was like 8th fastest in practice, so I didn't really think I had top 3 speed. I figured I'd figure it out partway through the race, and I think I just got a little cocky and I went a little conservative on that last run, pitting late, and it kind of bit me in the end.
I mean, James, you start out the round of the first round of the playoffs with a solid finish here in second. I mean, how are you feeling about the wild card of Talladega and then the road course of the Roval to finish out this first round?
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like both of them are pretty good wild cards. I feel good about the Roval, but man, turn 1 there, somebody 10 cars back can take you out. So I don't know. I'm just not gonna get too worried about it. I'm glad I have a good points cushion. I think I did good tonight with bonus points and everything too. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm gonna see how it goes and not really worry too much.
Well, James, still a very solid run for that second place position. Congratulations. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming on board for broadcasting as always. And thank Rusty, Kevin, Andrew, and Matt for helping put this league on. And congratulations to Matt on the win. It's a long time coming for him.
Well, that will be your second place finisher here tonight in the 38 machine of James Catrone. James, congratulations on this run and good luck next week at Talladega. As we move from second place, we go down to third to a driver that we hear on Wednesday nights, but we finally get to listen to him here on Tuesdays. We got Justin Malarkey with us. And Justin, you had such a roller coaster of an evening at moments. It felt like you were the magnet that everyone just could not get away from, but ultimately you come away in third. Man, how are you feeling after your performance here tonight?
Oh, Sam, I'm sweating down here. This is crazy. I might have to get back up in the booth and start cooling off up there. It was a battle out here tonight. How about that?
And Malarkey, yeah, we saw you feeling like out there. We saw, 2 tires work for some guys, 4 tires better for the other. But what was your overall take on this thing tonight?
Trevor, I'm glad you brought up the 2 tires because I was debating for the last 5 laps before I was about to run out of fuel and make that last pit stop. I wanted to take 2 tires so bad. I really felt like 2 tires were actually equal or faster than the 4 tires just because the way it changes the car. I felt like I learned that in an official, but I was like, oh, there's going to be about 19, 20 laps. I'm like, that's too scary. So I didn't do it, but I kind of wish I saved that 5 seconds of pit time and maybe I could have got up there and at least challenged Matt because James was pretty fast and I believe he did that strategy. But other than that, had to be a fun race for you guys. It seemed like a lot of 2-3 wide battles out there.
It certainly was a crazy one, Justin, all around. But man, it was a fun race for us to call. But for you, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, Robert, Sam, Trevor, you guys putting on the show. So happy that you broadcast this because I have people that like watching there out in the chat. So hopefully they were able to communicate with you guys tonight and get some views for you. And looking forward to getting out there more. Next week should be a fun time.
Certainly should be, as we hope for the best for you, Justin. Congratulations on third and good luck at Talladega.
Thank you.
As we move from our interviews here tonight, we get ready to take a look at our unofficial results. It certainly was a wild one for 133 laps, 3 cautions. We had 2 on-track incidences, and then our stage yellow that popped up. But ultimately, it was Matt Hayden who will come away with the victory here tonight, as our unofficial results, again, could change, could stay the same, but I think for Matt Hayden, he liked his performance here tonight, with James Catrone coming in second, Justin Malarkey third, fourth is 84 of John Velocity, who had his own type of up and down race. He went very patient on trying to save fuel, and came away with that 4th place position. Hunter Carlson 5th, 6th is Kevin Zabladil, with James Fitzmarcus going to be in 88 machine 7th. Andrew Little, Christian Schauder, both caught penalties. They will be 8th and 9th. And Brandon Bouchiak to be finishing out our top 10 drivers here this evening. And you look at the rest of the field, I mean, Trevor, there's some drivers that would wish for better nights, but I think it's also the drivers that missed out on tonight's race that are going to need some miracle runs for these next few races.
You think about Rusty Modesty, who wasn't able to make it here tonight. Roland Collette, who had issues early on in this race. Stephen Potter as well with issues on, and they're going to have a long road to recovery for themselves at Talladega. And the Roval Sam is going to put a lot of pressure on those guys. And I think make them drive really aggressive, but it's going to make for a fun watch for us up in the booth.
Certainly will. And if you would like to see more great racing action, we got you covered next week, as tonight actually was our last race of the week. Our next race will be Monday night for the ISRC Truck Series, as they just got done with a Mo Sport, otherwise known as Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and there's a lot of drama exiting out of that race. And their next couple of races are going to be some must not miss racing. Excuse me, gonna get that phrase out. As they head to Auto Club this upcoming Monday night. Next week on Tuesday, we are back here for more playoff racing at Talladega. And then again, they had to postpone their race this Thursday, but they're back next Thursday. Is the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, as they will have their race heading to New Hampshire. Great racing all around. But Trevor, any final thoughts before we call it an evening?
I mean, it was a great race here tonight. Great pit strategy call from Hayden to get the win. Catrone coming up just a little bit short. If he only had pitted the what ifs, had he pitted a little bit sooner, what could have happened there? But the field putting on a great show for us tonight, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do for us next week at Talladega.
It's going to be a fun one. Don't want to miss it. But for tonight, thank you to all those that did participate in watching tonight's race. And for anyone that's watching after the fact, we really appreciate all those that give us views. And if you're enjoying our broadcast, remember to hit that like button and subscribe so that we know that you're enjoying the show and you like watching the product that we show throughout the week. Was 4 races a week. We'll be back to 4 races a week in November, but we cannot wait for future races. Tonight, congratulations to Matt Hayden on grabbing his first win of the season, and what a time to grab it in the first race of the playoffs. Cannot wait for next week at Talladega, but if you can't wait for more great racing action, we got you covered next Monday. ISRC Truck Series. They head to Auto Club. You don't want to miss it. What drama will mount back up? We'll find out Monday night on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.